Mewing news. Well, the big news is that we're making a Mewing app. I have been really overwhelmed with the success of the whole Mewing concept. I see Mewing videos literally all over the world, in literally every language that I could imagine. And it's helping a lot of people. I see these images of people who are Mewing that have made incredible changes. Now, I've got to realise a lot of this was on the back of 4 or 5 videos I made, and there's a huge amount more I could give, and huge amount more knowledge I have that I could provide, and it would, I think, help people, and it would help prevent some problems. I hear people talking to me about problems or contacting me with problems, and I'm thinking, well, you're not doing it at all correctly. So what we're going to do is make some videos that really well encapsulate how to mew, and I will imagine they'll be out in about 4 months' time approximately. So we'll be trying to sell them at the lowest possible price point, and also trying to raise some revenue to keep the whole mewing movement moving forwards. And that's, you need some income to gain real change in society and move things forwards. And of course, I highly ask people not to contact us about the Mewing app. You can understand that just if these videos go out to so many people that it only takes a small percentage of you to try and contact the clinic, and it grinds our email system to a halt. So please don't be contacting us about this Mewing app. It will come out at some point in the future. And of course, that brings me on to the clinic that is going from strength to strength. We're taking on a new qualified dentist, part-time. Hopefully we'll move him to full-time as we progress, and that allows me to do more. Of course, the clinic is finally, after a decade, making a decent profit. Now, it has been incredible to take a concept, bring it into a treatment, and finally actually make a profit on the back of that. So now this is a self-sustaining entity, and we're moving forwards. That's allowing me to invest more in the clinic. And we're about to buy a 3D, well, it should arrive hopefully this week. We've bought it, it's just got to arrive, this 3D scanner. And that's going to allow us to take 3-dimensional photographs of people's faces and then minimize the feedback loop before we can tell something's changing, so that we can understand what type of intervention will create what result. And so, really supercharging the science that we're doing here. And of course, we're also doing some MSE, and clearly I'm doing it in my own style. That's taking off very nicely. We've got quite a few people using that method with some very nice results. And as I said, with these feedback loops, I hope we're going to get better. And we're trying to bring in other methods and techniques as well, it's just really interesting. It's fascinating. It's fascinating to see these changes we're gaining in this slightly older group, this sort of the 25 to 35-year-old group that we're focusing on at the moment. I'm also interested in watching others, because I'm on a few forums where people are discussing MSE, and it really brings home the ideological difference between how I'm using and viewing MSE and what many other people using this technique are viewing it. Whereas for me, MSE is pretty consistent with everything I'm thinking and doing. I'm seeing a lot of other people how some of the effects of MSE seem to be a little contrary to what they're trying to gain. And that fascinates me, because we're looking at these things surprisingly different, although we're using the same technique and same methods. Now, on to other things, because most things in my life are going really, really well right now. I mean, everything business-wise and mewing-wise is going so well. What's not going so well, of course, is my health. It seems to have hit rock bottom recently. I'm down to something like, 64 and a bit kilos, which for 183 is really light. I'm trying to gain some more weight on. But after I came off these drinks, these milkshakes that they've given me, I went on to a very restrictive diet. So I mainly ate meat. Now I'm expanding that. So what I'm eating meat. I'm eating some offal. So we're making a homemade liver pate, some bone broth, avocados, butternut squash, sweet potatoes and dates, all washed down with some kombucha tea and some nice bugs. So a few different types of probiotics that I've found. And it seems to be okay. I mean, I seem to be more or less, once in a while I've got problems, but more or less I'm problem free. But having a very restrictive diet is really, really hard work. We all like nice things. I mean, when I actually stopped to remember how my diet was, it revolves around nice things. Our days revolve around having a cup of coffee, having a cup of tea. I'm drinking heat, herbal tea, a bit of peppermint tea, but I miss coffee. I miss real proper English tea. I miss these little nice things that we have. I find it very difficult cooking food for my family and not being able to eat any of this food. Not being able to lick your fingers. You get something nice, some butter on your finger, and you're not being able to lick it. You wipe it off. It just really takes perseverance and single-mindedness to stay on this very restrictive diet. But I think that of all things, you have your ups and downs. Yes, it's bound to happen, particularly when you're not well. But the hardest thing for me is when I'm not well. I was last weekend lying in bed and my kids coming up to say hi and coming up beside the bed and looking down at me on the bed. And that is possibly the hardest thing. And, I think there's loads of reasons for getting well. It probably is my kids, the reason that's really kicking in me to get well. And of course, my options at the moment are I can have a ileostomy, basically like a colostomy, but in a different place. So you'd be pooing into a bag. I could take immunosuppressants for the rest of my life. I could have a segment of my immune system chemically killed. Now, none of those sound particularly good. So I'm trying to find the best natural way first. And that seems to be working, but I will keep you updated. Right, now finally, the allegations for my court case this November. So in sort of 6 months or so, we have this court case. My lawyers really don't want me to say anything about it, except I can say the allegations they haven't totally arrived. Most of them have arrived. So they were supposed to be presented to me, disclosed, I think is the term, in November last year. We've got the court case in November this year, so we're about halfway through and we still don't have full disclosure. Now, however you look at it, it's stressful. It is very difficult. I find it really difficult going through all of this paperwork, and there's piles of it, and all the way it says, the accused, or GDC versus Michael Mew. It just, however, you think you've done the right thing, and you're okay. It's still, it's stressful. I potentially lose everything. Remember, I've invested everything into this business, this concept we're doing, and of course, if I'm closed down, well, I lose it, basically. But, I literally hope the truth comes out. That's the idea. That's always been my hope, that the truth does come out. People will see common sense at the end of the day. Now, I'm hoping next to get a juicer to really see if I can expand my food options without taking on too much more fibrous stuff, which seems to be the problem. And, of course, that takes, the whole not being well takes a huge amount of energy out of me, which otherwise I'd want to put into this campaign. So that's another real good reason to get back and helping all of you. But in general, things, as I said, apart from my health, everything's looking up. I guess the court case is interesting. But we want to keep you updated. Thank you all for your support. Do consider joining Patreon, because you know, we want to put more information out. Now my staff members, we've expanded the clinic. I've got more people to help me do this, because that was always my problem. And that really helps move things forward, because, you know, money does help. And so consider joining our Patreon. That would be really useful. And clearly like this and sign up, you know, whatever the notifications, I think it is, isn't it? Anyway, listen, thank you very much for taking the time to reach this far. All right. And thank you for all your help and your solid support, because, you know, that has helped me to get where I am now. And I don't forget that I owe everything to my supporters and the people who watch these videos. Thank you.